Film photography is a lot like cooking. Keeping proper temperatures is vital in everything from baking to making sure food is safe to consume. Overmix a meringue and it falls apart. Sauce gets clumpy without proper stirring and attention, and so on. Similarly, film photography calls for proper time, temperature, and agitation. On a base level, this is because both of these seemingly disparate art forms are both acts of chemistry. Another shared aspect of these disciplines is that it is possible to freestyle and come up with interesting results. Raise your hands if your grandmother never measured anything but everything tasted great. I hope you're getting the visuals here of all the similarities between cooking and photography, by the way. So when I finally decided to do film soup at long last, I should have paid a little bit more attention to the similarities between these two disciplines. It was a reader poll that finally pushed me to make this video, but I've been inspired by things like the old camera guy, whose soup video you see here, and Emily Swift, whose creative soup concoction can be seen here. S-Rad's videos about film soup. I miss you, S-Rad. Come back, come back. And also other friends like Victor, whose Figstop on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch especially catches live streams. I'll try to have links or some method of getting to these various profiles in the description, by the way. And my friend Michelle Singletary, whose souped film I've personally developed, and I should have taken many cues from. So I grabbed a few rolls of expired film and shot a few frames with Bree and then Ashleigh. I started off with an expired roll of Fuji 800. I think it was super expired, so I shot it around 200, kind of splitting the difference, which is generally a good rule of thumb for expired negative film, which is a stop per decade, by the way, although there are like religious level arguments about this. So approach that subject with kind of extreme caution online.
Wow, who is she?
Before we get too far, I did shoot a few Polaroids before we really got into the swing of things, and I'm super happy with how they turned out. And since I'm saving the soup results until the end, I thought I'd share some other frames I shot during these sessions. As far as the Fuji roll I shot, I was reasonably sure it would turn out because I've shot other rolls from probably the same batch. But when you're doing soup, at least for the first time, you should consider using old film, and especially using expired chemistry. Also, do not ever send souped film to a photo lab without telling them first or asking if they do souped film, because it can definitely ruin their chemistry and machines, and they will ban you for life, which thankfully I have not found out the hard way for once. After I shot through the Fujifilm, I also shot a roll of Lomo 400 that was new. Unfortunately, despite shooting another expired roll of some really ancient Seattle Filmworks stuff, I completely botched the lomography roll and completely overexposed it, but hey, I figured it works because, you know, film soup and destruction and different things, and we'll see how those turned out at the end of the video when I share those results. But I also shot a few more photos with, normal film, I guess, using my Bronica ETRSI and a roll of Kodak Portra 400, which is a film I have a very frustrating time getting along with. I'll hit the occasional shot I absolutely love, and then I'll get some shots like I got on this session that I just have trouble enjoying. I don't know if I just metered these wrong or if I need to stick to like just sunsets, which tend to be Portra 400's wheelhouse. But also there's a little bit of charm to these, and I'm gonna keep working with Portra 400 mostly because I have like 4 or 5 more rolls. And then it's off to my second shoot, this time with Ashleigh. This time I decided to stick to 35mm exclusively. I started with an also very old expired roll of Fuji 200, vintage I have no idea when, and from there I decided to shoot something a little more quote-unquote normal. Shot some Kodak Colorplus, which I will actually share the Colorplus at the end of this segment, and then I'll share, of course, the souped Fuji roll after that, along with the shots of Bree. I also shot some Polaroid here, of course. These were all SX70. For the last 3, I pulled the pack out of the fridge barely 2 hours before, so they may have color shifted a bit, but I'm still mostly happy with how they turned out. And from there, I decided to just shoot with Colorplus, mostly because I love how the sun looks here, and I hadn't shot Colorplus in a while, especially in full light, so I thought it'd be a fun change. And I was shooting these on a Contax RTS I've been testing out. It's a great camera, the lenses are even better, but probably more on that one later. And you don't shoot a T-Star coated lens, that's Contax's multi-coating, without shooting with a lot of sunlight and especially flare-prone situations, which I mostly concentrated on this shoot. And really, I just love backlighting and really strong flares. Like, call me J.J. Abrams, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Now stand closer. Oh yeah, sorry. Look down that way.
And before I get to the part where I soup the film and develop it, let's check out the Colorplus shots I got. The Colorplus was hitting strong on this day. It was super saturated, very contrasty. The reds and blues just really went crazy. I was super happy with it. I mean, check out that blue. And this is my 90s editorial magazine photographer impression. Did anyone order soup? Got windswept here in my darkroom. And yeah, it's noisy in here, isn't it? I had my random booze, lemon juice, and combined it all. And really, this is where I made my first mistake. See, a lot of people will, as you saw in the earlier videos, dump the canister in the chemical bath and boil it or leave it overnight or something. I wanted to take kind of a shortcut approach, which involved putting the film on the reels already, completely exposing it to the chemicals instead of letting it seep in. The downside to that is I probably over diluted the chems and I didn't leave it long enough. I got impatient. But that brings up a good point that I like to make, is that film is surprisingly resilient. You can screw up in a lot of ways and still get perfectly good images, which you will, spoiler alert, kind of see what happened with these in just a second now. And also, I'd like to thank my patrons for all of their support. Check the link in the description to see how you can join for as little as $1 a month, and on to the results. You'll notice a pattern already emerging in that these photos, even for probably like 20-year-old Fuji 200, look pretty good. Soft focus effects and an overlapping frame from being at the end of a roll, and a little bit of residual mess that may have come from the sludgy fixer or may have come from some of the crap I put on it. This roll of 200 is barely expired looking, and outside of the graininess, I could probably tell people there was nothing wrong with this other than that it was slightly expired or kind of a grainy film, which is cool because it says I exposed this extremely expired film well, and I actually like the results and it looked pretty nice. But as far as a souping film goes, it's not amazing. These photographs of Bree, on the other hand, at least evoke a little bit of the soup aesthetic. I don't know if it's because it's ancient Seattle Filmworks film, or if it's, again, the sludgy fixer or whatever. I think my first mistake, other than not giving it enough time and maybe over diluting the chemicals, is that I also developed all 5 rolls at once instead of maybe doing 1 or 3 rolls, and kind of giving myself a little bit of space to experiment with, because now I'm going to do this again. There will be another soup video, but now I've got to wait because I discarded my chemicals responsibly, by the way, because they were super spent. But now, since I've shot through all of that expired film, I've kind of got to dig up a few more rolls and go all over again and try to see what I can do. So learn from cooking, be patient, follow the instructions, and you're going to get some good food or photographs. If you like what you see, please subscribe and turn on notifications, like this video, and leave a comment. It helps a lot, and I'm continuing to try to improve my output, so hopefully I will see you again very soon. Thanks.